just the last 2 or 3 episodes, not even with this you, but I think it was Donna Rigney, Kat Kerr, different people. I think Kat was talking about stepping out of yourself. I
Yeah.
told a story about how a man was praying where he was sitting in a chair. They'd all gone to bed. He decided to walk around the house and pray for his family, his kids at their room. He stood there, went outside and prayed around the house, came back in and saw himself sitting in the chair.
Yes. My wife's sister, she has two sisters, and her oldest sister went home to be with the Lord several years ago. And when she was, that's a whole story around that, but I want to tell you this. When she was laying there on this hospital bed, and everybody had gathered in, so forth, well, I stood right at the foot of her bed and just watched her because it was getting down to the last however long. And she was breathing, just how they'll breathe, and it was getting shallow. And I remember Brother Hagin said, he said, stand at the foot of someone's bed, and sometimes as soon as they leave, look up. Sometimes you'll get a glimpse of them leaving. And so I guess that's why I was standing there. And Steve, what I'm about to tell you happened. She's laying there in the bed, and I'm just looking, and everybody else is doing whatever. And she sat up in the bed out of her body. It was another her, and she sat up waist high out of her body like this and looked right in my eyes. And she never said anything, but she looked right at me, and I did just like this. And I looked around the room, and I looked back at her to see if anybody could see this. And she looked right at me, and it was like she said, I heard it inside me. She said, you know. And then she laid back down in her body. In 20 minutes, she was in heaven. That fast.
Wow.
And so there is a lot of things that we have to learn. But we must learn them through the Word. If we don't learn them through the Word, then we end up being very flaky.
Well, it's that word, that scripture says to be absent from the body is to be present. And she became almost absent, and yet she wasn't. She laid back down and rejoined her body. But later, she became absent, and that is to be present. So, wow.
Yeah, and see, I was in the Spirit, operating on a spiritual thing I had heard Brother Hagin say. And so I stood at the foot of the bed expecting to see something spiritual. So my mind was running that direction.
Yeah.
But I never expected to see that.
That would be incredible. That's almost spooky, but I mean, it feels like God, but it's almost spooky when you
there
think
was,
to
but there was
literally see that.
there was no fear. None. No fear. It was the same way.